Hi everybody. So officially, welcome. This is going to be a kind of, it's a Vinyasa class in name and style, but a little bit funky, a little flowy, a little different. And then tonight, I've been kind of inspired. So it's a crescent moon, almost a dark moon. Tomorrow's the new moon, which is a kind of interesting, I like metaphors. And so I like a metaphor for starting over or kind of freshening up your, wiping the slate clean or freshening things up, starting again. So a new moon is a good time to think about that sort of thing. And tonight, the moon is in Taurus, which is an earth sign. And I've been feeling very much like I wanted to hunker down and do little things like squatting and lunges and those kinds of things for a while. It just feels good to get grounded. So we're going to take a little bit of inspiration from both of those ideas. Kind of get a little grounded, do some flowy stuff, kind of some lunar salutations. We don't do those very often, and it'll be kind of nice. Now, I'm grabbing for a blanket. You can use a blanket if you want. We're gonna start in a reclining butterfly, so feet together, knees open. I'm gonna use the blanket underneath my knees, but you could also create a little bit of a shoulder opener, especially if you've been leaning over a desk all day. It would be nice. You can put the blanket down the length of your spine and let your shoulder kind of relax around it to open up the muscles in the chest. Otherwise, you can just lie down on your back and let your knees hang out open to the sides. Now, again, I like the blanket because this can be a little bit spicy with the gravitational pull on not just the moon and the tides, but on I guess the moon is the one helping with that, but in any case, not just pulling on the tides, but pulling on my knees towards the ground, so this little bit of support helps. So I feel the stretch there, but not too much, and I am going to do these cactus arms. So I'm kind of taking my arm out a little bit, like not quite a goalpost, a little bit more broad, and letting my shoulders relax that way. It feels kind of nice. One of my favorite self-care, if that's the right word, but rituals is to go to these places where they have these sensory deprivation tanks, these little saltwater pods, and then you lay and float in them in the dark. And my arms always want to rest in this cactus position. So it's the best one. So just taking myself to my own inner pod and floating in the presence of my breath. So letting the breath come and go. As you tune into the rhythm of your breath, just notice how the breath feels. So it happens when you inhale. So for me, there's this kind of drawing down sensation of the diaphragm, right? You can feel the diaphragm pull down to make room for that breath to come in. There's the expanding sensation in the torso as a result. And as the exhale finds me, everything sort of settles back nice and light. So just notice what it's like for you. Is there a grounding sense for you to the inhale? Or is the exhale more grounding? Try to take about 3 more breaths. bring my knees together with that exhale. I'm gonna slide the blanket out from under there. Now, if you have the blanket underneath your back, or if you are using a blanket at all, for that matter, so wherever you might have had it, you can go ahead and pull that out and put it off to the side. And then I like to do these little windshield wipers. So I've got my feet kind of on the wide side, and just kind of windshield wipering back and forth. If you'd like, you can bring your knees into your chest and do that version instead. I'm gonna get to that in a little bit. But for now, this feels really nice. Now, I might want the blanket again, but I'm going to find out. So I'm going to take the legs over to one side. I'm going to go to the right first. And then if it feels like I could use a little extra support, I could stick my blanket back in underneath my legs or in between the legs. You can, if you like, drop that top leg, kind of wrap it around the bottom leg. You could extend the legs out straight. So you can experiment a little bit with the twist. And then I'm extending this arm out to the side, and I'm trying to find the spot where it feels the best. So a nice stretch through my chest muscle, but not sharpen the shoulder joint itself. So I'm not pinching anything inside the joint. And so you might feel this a lot more around the outer part of your hip or in the spine itself, everywhere. Poses do a lot of different things. So we're going to do 2 more big breaths. And we're going to bring the leg back to the center. Now, you could go back to those little windshield wipers, or you can bring your knees in a little tighter and give yourself a little back massage. Feels nice. All right, so we're going to take the legs the other direction. And so if you want to stay a little bit longer with the back massage, you can do that. And then I'm just going to experiment. Let my legs sort of stack up, see if I can get my upper back on the floor. Feel out where should the arm go. Maybe let the legs wrap around each other a little bit. And then come back to that nice deep breath. Just feeling my kind of relationship here, just lying down on the floor. So I'm not laying on the earth. Earlier I was outside barefoot gardening, and a little bit on the wet side. But I like feeling like grass tickle my toes and feeling my feet on kind of a squishy earth surface. So in my mind, I'm sort of projecting myself there. How's that? I'm sort of letting myself imagine that the carpet is like that, kind of squishy, soft ground, and letting myself drop into the earth. In my mind. Take one more big breath, and then we're gonna come on back. Okay. So one more time, I'm gonna give myself this little back massage. Plant my feet and do this little windshield wipers. And then we're gonna leave the legs on the floor. So if your legs are still up, you can plant the feet on the floor. So it's almost like we're going into bridge. We're not going to go into bridge, but we're going to do a little bit of work for our shoulders. So you're going to reach the arms straight up, and then we're going to lift as high as we can. And I want to lift as much as I can. If I can get my whole upper back off the floor, that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to sink myself back into the ground. Okay? So feel the shoulder blades really plant right into the floor. And then feel them come off the sides. And we're trying to use all the power of the muscles in my back to get myself up off the floor. And I'm just letting my head go along for the ride, but you can do this as you see fit with your head. Plant the shoulder blades deep down into the ground, okay? One more time. We're gonna reach up, stretch, and then come back and let the shoulder blades really plant down into the ground. And then we're gonna bring the arms up over the head, Give yourself a little elbow hug or just rest your arms on the ground and then reach out through the legs. So we get a nice big stretch. Oh. And then we're gonna come up to all fours. And if you want to, you can rock yourself up. So, like that. You could even do it a few times, because it's fun. Whee! And then come up to all fours. It's a good time. Alrighty. So once we get here, we're going to do some of these little cat moves with our back. And swaying, you can sway the hips, move the ribs, and then start to move kind of in a circular shape if you can with your rib cage. Oh. Find a sense of that sort of moving all the way around the axis. And then the other direction after a bit. And when you get to the bottom, we're going to pause there. Now, you're going to take one leg and tuck it under, toes under, and stretch back through that leg. I'm going to reach back through my heel, and then just roll the whole thing over the top. Reach back through the heel, roll the whole thing over the top. Reach back through the heel, roll it over the top. And then I'm going to reach back through the heel and float that leg up. Okay? So taking this arm out to the side, and reaching back through the leg and out to the side. So I've got opposite arm and leg. Draw in through the waist if you can. Pick that thing up, stretch. Now I'm going to put my hand down and bring the leg all the way forward. All right, so now I'm in a crescent lunge, or I will be shortly. If you'd like, you can grab yourself a yoga block. Oh, so I'm going to send my hips forward, and then send them back. And this is a kind of exploration, right? So I might want to bring the hips around a little bit that way. Bring it forward, and bring it back. We're going to come back to this pose a few times, changing up the variations as we go. But for this one, we're just going to come forward one more time. We're going to pause right there and stay a little bit on the low side. I'm resting one arm on my leg, and I've got one hand on the block. And then we're going to come back to this forward bending shape, Ardha Hanumanasana, half monkey pose. You can keep this knee quite a bit bent as needed for your hamstrings. And we're going to take that leg back, give it a little shake, and bring it down. And then take a moment to appreciate the difference between the two sides. Okay? Can you feel a little subtle difference? Might not be so subtle. And that moment right there where we noticed that has a name in Sanskrit. Tuck your toes under on the other leg, and we're going to roll forward and backward over the toes. And the name for that moment where we catch something like that, that moment where you feel that sigh, or that moment where your mind goes, I get it, right? That is the same thing. The moment where we notice something in Sanskrit is spanda. It's a pulsation, okay? So we're going to lift this leg. We're going to take the opposite arm out to the side. I've got a credenza here, so I'm going to just avoid it. But lift through the core. Reach. And then we're going to put that hand back down and bring that leg all the way through. And we're coming into the lunge. So spanda. Spanda is it's like a beat. It's a pulse. It's a rhythm, right? And so flow yoga, in many ways, is a spanda, where we're feeling like there's something happening and then I'm immediately shifting it to something else, right on? So I'm coming forward into this, and right at the apex, noticing that, and then as I slowly shift it into this pose, feel all those moments in between. Just get really in tune with this idea of flow and tidal rhythms. A pulsation is a rhythm. Okay, so we're going to pause right here. Just take a nice deep breath. Again, I'm staying a little bit low with this guy. We'll come back to some other options in a bit. And then I'm going to send the hips back and fold over top of this leg. And again, just nourishing the hamstrings in the right way for you. Feeling it. And then we're going to take that leg back and give it a little shake out. And then bring it back down and give yourself a few little moves and feel the change, if there is one. Feel where it landed you, right on? Now, I'm going to put my hair up real quick before we go forward, because in a second, I will not be in a position to do that. So we're going to go into downward facing dog. So plant your hands nice and firm, tuck your toes, take your hips up. And you can come in and out of this dog a little bit. I like to start with a really wide position in my feet. Get my hands planted, relax through my neck, and kind of feel out a little bit of movement here. Especially if this is your first downward dog of the day. It's nice to sort of greet this downward dog a bit. And then I'm going to take myself back into that kind of hips distance of placement. And then we're going to come into a plank. And you can do a full plank and kind of rock back and forth on your toes. It's different than we were doing it one leg at a time. Or you can bring your knees down and rock forward and back a little, right, towards that all fours and towards that plank. And feel how the core shifts as you move your plank around. And then we're going to lower all the way to the belly. And placing the hands about chest level or so, fingers nice and spread out. We're going to come into Cobra in a way that sort of creates a liquefied version. So we're going to go up and down, left shoulder, right shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder. One more time that direction. All right. Now coming back down, bring the elbows underneath you, reach out through your legs, pause with that back bend. And if that's enough, that's enough. If it's too much, come down. If you can go a little bit higher here, you can take it up into a little more of a seal. So Sphinx, or seal, or low crocodile. And one more breath here. And then we're going to come down. And again, I'm going to come into this cobra, but I'm lifting my right shoulder first this time. And then left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Coming back down, finding that Sphinx, and feeling out the upper back. Now, it's possible that the upper back is still quite sticky. So we're going to come back to some different kind of cobra variations. But just kind of notice where it lands right now. And then we're going to take ourselves back into our downward dog. So you can push back up either the full plank or the modified. Take yourself back into dog either from the bent knees or from the straight legs. And then from your downward dog, and again, we're going to pause for a moment and get this sense of the shoulders moving. Just moving the shoulder blades around and around and around on your back. Nice long neck. Draw the hips back if you can, draw the heels towards the floor. And then we're going to walk the hands all the way back to the feet. So you'll be at the back of your mat. Now I've got my legs a little on the wide side. I'm just going to turn and sway. You can grab your elbows if you like. Ooh. And then we're going to come up halfway and try to feel that like a ripple through your back. Bend your knees, ripple down. Ripple through the back to come up to the halfway. Bend your knees, ripple down. One more time. Ripple up. Bend the knees, ripple down. Now we're going to roll all the way up. As slow as you can go. Try to feel the pelvis come into place. And then the vertebrae through each section of your back. And then when you get to the top, and you corrected your wardrobe malfunctions, bring your feet in and feel your mountain pose for just a moment. And spread out the toes and try to feel the connection you have to the ground. And again, I've got this idea that even though I'm in my home, and this is carpet and my yoga mat, I'm going to project myself into the earth, okay? So this is another aspect of this notion of spanda. So if we look at the tantric, there's some tantric documents that are really fascinating, but one is called the Spandakarika. And there's a notion of meditation as a kind of way to project yourself into circumstances. So you could imagine yourself standing on the bare earth, and that because you're creating the image in your mind and holding it as a meditative practice, it is almost the same as actually doing it. And I will say that from my own experience of watching scary movies, that my nervous system does not know the difference when I see something scary on television versus it being scared. And so there might be some interesting truth to it, or at least that what might be what they were tuning into is this kind of nervous system response to stimuli. So we're going to imagine ourselves kind of rooted down into the earth, and we're going to take a walking meditation to the top of our mat, but almost as if we're just gliding through the earth, right on? So the feet are walking, but just sort of imagining that we're kind of gliding through. Or maybe like you're walking through water, right? So we're getting kind of this sense of slow, methodic movement. Now I like to do that for a longer period of time than just the length of a mat, but for tonight, that's what we're gonna do. So find your roots in the mountain. We're gonna take a nice big breath. You're gonna reach your arms up. Try not to catch any plants. And we're gonna pull ourselves over to the left. Now you can put your hand on your thigh here, or you can reach up here, grab that right wrist, and give it a little stretch over to the left. Then we're gonna come back and picking up this left foot, step back into a wide shape. So a big star here, right on. Then we're gonna sink down into a squat. This is the goddess. And then coming out, we're gonna spin the left foot to the left, right foot a little to the inside, and come into triangle pose. A nice big breath here in triangle. And then we're gonna put both hands on the ground, spin this right foot around so that the leg is in a lunge, and then bring that right knee to the ground, and we'll come all the way up into a crescent lunge, this time with the arms over the head. Exhale, put both hands on the floor, and we're gonna either take this leg back to all fours, or you can go directly to down dog, okay? So from all fours, either staying with that, or coming back to dog, coming into your plank if you like. You can add this part on, or you can keep the dog. And then we're gonna ripple into a cobra. I'm gonna take the right shoulder forward, left shoulder back, and one more on the other side, left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. And then we're gonna take ourselves back up and into down dog. Now, legs towards the center, take the left leg up. Exhale, bring that knee in. Curl it up. Stretch that leg back, sink into your right heel. Step your left foot forward. Bring your right foot up to meet it. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold, widen out your feet, and do a little sway. And then we're gonna come up halfway. If you can, like a ripple, Exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. One more time. Up halfway. Exhale, fold, and then all the way up to standing. Again, nice and slow. Oh. Finding our way to the top of the mat. And finding that mountain pose. Spread out your toes. Feel your connection to your mat or the floor or the earth, whatever you want to think about it as. Without smacking anything, arms go up. And we're going to take either the right hand down to the hip, or you're going to grab that left wrist, give yourself a little stretch on the left side. And then we're going to come back up, pick up the right foot, step it out, star. And then sinking into a squat, goddess. And then turning the toes, so now the right foot points to the right, left foot follows in, triangle. Whoop. Nice big breath here. Good, bringing both hands to the floor, spinning on those toes on the left, bringing the left knee to the ground, coming into crescent. Eventually. And then bringing ourselves down, hands to the mat, either to all fours first, or directly into downward dog. And you can either hold that downward dog or come forward into the plank and lower it down. And come into cobra. And the left shoulder moves forward. And the right shoulder moves forward. And then we come back through the all fours or straight up into a straight plank and back to dog. Legs to the center, right leg goes up. Exhale, step that foot forward. Bring your left foot up to meet your right foot. Wiggle them out to wide, a little wider than the hips or shoulders. Give it a little sway. Release the arms, ripple up to the halfway mark. Exhale, fold. Ripple it up to the halfway mark. Exhale, fold. One more, ripple it up to the halfway mark. Exhale, fold. And then we're going to come all the way up. Feeling the vertebrae stack. Bringing the feet in and finding the mountain pose. Spread out your toes. Nice. Take a breath. And one more. So you're going to take a nice big inhale. Whoops. Hey, buddy. Take a nice big breath. The left hand can come down. You can stretch over like that. And you can grab this wrist, give it a little tug. Now we're going to pick up the left foot and bring that whole thing, whoops, into a tree pose. Now your foot can be down by your ankle, it can be up in the middle, or you can grab it and pick it all the way up to your thigh. Take it, whoop, taking it wherever it is. Maybe it's wobbly tonight. Root through your right foot, oh, nice and firm. And then we're going to pick this guy up and step it back, come into the star. Exhale, we're going to turn the feet in and fold into a wide angle forward bend. Now this one you can either walk out, so it's a little closer to down dog, or walk in, so it's a bigger hamstring stretch. Then we're going to spin the feet out to the diagonal and come to the goddess. And take a moment here. She can be fierce. And then we're going to spin again. So now my left toes point this way, right foot's in, adjust the spacing for triangle, and then coming into triangle pose. Nice big breath. And then we're going to take this triangle, bend your knee, reach way out with your hand, and try to lift right into a crescent, half moon bounce. And give it a good long lift here. Excellent. And then we're going to bring that leg down, spin this all around, bring that knee down for the crescent, coming up, whoop, all the way. Now I'm going to lace my fingers together so that everything crosses except my index fingers. And reaching up nice and high. So, representing kind of shooting an arrow in the direction that we want our lives to go. Like, feel yourself release any doubt that you have and just project yourself forward. And then we're going to take the arms down. We're going to slide this back into our half Hanuman. Maybe the hamstrings are a little more forgiving second round. Maybe not. And then you can either bring yourself to the all fours and then a modified plank, or you can step it back to downward dog, come to a full plank, and then we'll lower it down. Or you can hold your plank, come into cobra. Right shoulder forward, left shoulder forward, back to cobra, and then take it back into down dog. Now, from down dog, center your left foot, center your right foot, and take your left foot up. We're going to kind of hook the foot over the back, and then we're going to make some circles with that leg. One more, and then step it forward. And then the right one is going to follow. And again, we're going to go for kind of a wide shape and a little bit of a pulsation here. And then taking this into a squat. How low will your butt go? I don't know the answer. It might go low, it might stay high. Taking one more breath here. And then we're going to come out of there and roll ourselves up. And give it a big stretch when you get to the top. And then find your mountain pose. And again, trying to feel that connection to the ground, to the earth, to whatever. Maybe just the surface of your yoga mat. And then we're going to take the arms up. And I might grab hold of this right wrist. Oops, other way. Left wrist. Give myself a little tug over to the right. Or I might leave that hand down. And then I'm going to pick up this right leg and stand firm on my left leg in a tree. Rooting down into my left foot. This is where that image of you and the earth is helpful. Take a big breath. And then we're going to step it out into our star. And then I'm turning the toes in and fold it into that wide angle forward bend. And again, I might take it out a little bit so I'm not so deep. Or I might really let myself fold. Ooh. Feel that pose. And then we're going to turn the toes out and come to the wider, a little higher goddess squat. And then adjusting ourselves back up to tall, turning the right toes all the way to the right, left toes follow in, coming into triangle. Doesn't that feel good? I think it feels good. Then we're going to bend this knee. I've got a big beanbag chair here, so I'm going to use that. But you can put your hand on the floor or on your block. And then we're going to take it up into the half moon. That's a full moon thing. But in any case, lift. Good. And then we're going all the way back and turning this into our crescent. So we're bringing that knee to the ground. Coming up. Now, interlace your fingers the way you normally do and then switch which one is on top. Keep the pointer fingers up. Put your other thumb on top. Okay? And so again, we're going to take this crescent lunge with this mudra for releasing the things that are no longer serving us and pushing ourselves into our future. Nice big breath. And then release the hands. We're coming back into our half Hanumanasana. Folding over this front leg. And then you're either going to step yourself back to down dog, stay there, or come forward into a full plank, or use this modified plank, okay? And then we're lowering down with control. Coming into cobra, left shoulder forward, right shoulder forward. And then coming back to sphinx, or crocodile, or the seal. And pausing for a moment, reaching through the legs, and feel. Is it different this time than the last time you were here? Are you sweatier? I am. And my hips feel like they nestle into the ground just a little bit better, right? All right, so we're gonna take this thing back into downward dog. And some of our friends might have stayed there the whole time. And then we're gonna take this right leg, bend the knee, and make 3 big circles. 2, 3, and then we're gonna bring it forward and bring our left one up and make it a little on the wide side and give it a little bit of a rinse. And then turn the toes out and come into the deepest squat that you can. And then we're going to come all the way back up. Give ourselves a big stretch. And come back to our mountain pose. So finding your mountain. Again. So we touch stone again, right? We do this pose over and over and over again in Vinyasa. And every time, can you feel it like you've never done it before? So again, you can either leave your left hand down, or you can reach up, grab that right wrist with your left hand, give yourself a little stretch. I'm going to put my left hand right here in the small of my waist and see if I can create enough support there that I can deepen my side bend a little. And then we're going to come back. Whoop. I'm going to pick this left leg up, bring it across the front of my thigh, and sink down into a balancing chair pose. Some people call this temple dancer. You can call it what you want. I think it's fun though. We're going to take one more big breath. And then we're going to pick this up and step back into our star. Big breath. Spiral the toes in, folding forward, wide angle forward bend. And again, choosing your amount of wide angle forward bend here. One more breath here. And then we're going to spin the toes out and come into this goddess. And we're going to do that shoulder thing again that we were doing in Cobra. So right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. You can look over the left shoulder. Left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. Right shoulder, left shoulder. Left shoulder to over right shoulder back. One more, right one first. And the left. And then coming back, nice big lift. Spinning the left foot to the left. And this time bending the knees so we come into warrior 2. So adjust your legs maybe a little wider than for the triangle. And bring your arms up, and we're going to hang with this warrior 2 for a bit. Ground through this leg. Keep this knee tracking straight out over the front of that foot. So your pelvis balances between those 2 points. Shoulders might feel a little, see if you can put them down. Right? Feel the muscles involved in holding your arm up. Try like, what happens if my arm is back there? What happens if it's up here? What happens if I line my arms up this way? Find the line up with your arms that actually feels like it belongs to your body. Mine don't point directly in one, down the side of my mat. Now we're gonna come back to reverse warrior. Oh, and again, we're gonna stretch out nice and long. Bring the elbow to the thigh, come into side angle pose here. Nice long stretch. Oh, that feels so good. This is my favorite right there. Oh. So I'm light on my elbow. You can go down if you like to your hand goes to the floor. And then we're gonna come down. You can put this hand on your hip, or you can put both hands on the ground, okay? We're gonna get this leg back up so we can come back to that half moon. Balance, whee! And maybe we can get so balanced, we don't really even need the hand. Oop, or maybe we fall, which is also sort of fun. Take one more big breath. Good, so we're gonna step way back. And again, we're gonna bring this right knee to the ground for a crescent lunge. Now this time we're gonna do kind of a diagonal crescent lunge. So first I need to feel out where should my hip go. And then I'm gonna put both my hands here on the diagonal, right? So rather than trying to track straight, I'm going kind of off to the corner. And then I'm folding in here, or putting the elbows on the ground if that's available. And then just seeing if the hip wants to come forward more into this kind of diagonal lizard shape. You might not want to get this deep. Do you? It's pretty deep. Taking one more breath now. And then staying with the diagonal, but maybe coming up off the elbows, I'm going to straighten out my front leg. And I have to adjust the spacing so that I can really dip in. Now for me, this gets my inner hamstrings more than the outer ones, which is what I'm doing on purpose to balance out that hamstring stretch. Because the other way, it's mostly about the outer hamstring. Take one more breath. And then we're going to take ourselves, and again, you can tuck your toes, go back to down dog, just hang out there for a few breaths. Or you can come back to an all fours position. You can hang out here. You can come in and wiggle a little bit. You can come forward into the modified plank or come into a full plank. And then we're going to lower down. Now, I'm going to give myself a little bit of room to stretch out here. And we're going to take ourselves into a flowing cobra. So inhale, lift. Come on back down, slide the hands back. Inhale, lift. Come on back down, slide your hands back. This is the locust. Lift and lift the legs. And hold steady now. And maybe your legs come way up off the floor. Mine just go a little bit, or they crank up my low back. So draw the elbows back, lift the chest. Good, and we're gonna come on back down and we'll head back into downward dog. Or, if you're saying to yourself, I can't do another downward dog, kid, then do a child's pose, y'all. It'll be fine. It's a great pose. Oh. All right. Now if you're in downward dog, bring your right leg to the center. Pick your left leg up. We're gonna hook that over the back like a scorpion tail. Oh, give that foot a couple of circles. And then we're gonna step it forward. And then we're gonna bring that right leg up to meet the left one. And come up halfway. Wiggle your feet out. Get a little loose here. And then we're gonna come all the way up to standing. Give it a big stretch. And bring yourself to your mountain pose. Now, find your grounding. Reach your arms up, and again, you can grab your wrist. I'm going over to the right. You can put your right hand down. Again, I'm gonna I'm not really pushing on my waist, but I'm just creating a little bit of structure, like pushing down a bit on my hip. So I've got a good amount of stretch, or kind of a good amount of structure there. Just stretch into it. Oh. Then we're gonna come back, shift all the way into that left leg, and bring the right leg up, and come into our balancing, or not so balancing, as the case may be, chair pose. Oh. And here we are. Temple dancer, if you will. One more breath if you got it in you. And then we're gonna pick this leg up and step it back, into a big star. Turn your toes in a little bit or a lot. Fold forward, wide angle forward bend. Oh. Oh, yogies. That feels so nice. I love this pose. Oh. And then we're going to come into the goddess squat. Oh. And we're going to see if we can lift up onto our tiptoes. So make sure you've got a solid connection to your knees. Lift up onto your tiptoes, come on back down. Lift up onto your tiptoes. If this is problematic, don't do it. Come on back down. One more time, lift it onto the tiptoes, trying to hold that steady now. Last breath. All right. And then we're gonna come up and turn this into, whoops, other way. Turn this into warrior two. Right leg pointing forward. Adjusting the left leg to make your hips happy. Now do your palms up this time. And we're gonna hold this warrior two for a bit. Pressing the legs into the ground. Keeping a nice position here. Oh, feels good. Feels powerful. Sometimes this pose too, like I'm used to flow. I like to be flowy with this pose, but sometimes just holding it is nice. And again, coming back to this idea of grounding. So now we're gonna come into reverse warrior. And then we're coming into side angle pose. And again, I'm keeping it light on this thigh, but you can put your hand down on the ground if you want to get a little lower. Mostly we just want one long angle here. And adjusting the hip to make it happy, right? You might need a different position for your spine. Oh, it just feels good. Press the legs into the ground, get super firm, spread out the toes, put those back down. Last breath here. And then again, you can put both hands on the ground, or one hand on your hip and one hand on the ground, because we're going to take ourselves whee, up. I've got a lot of furniture in the way. Into our half moon balance. And see if we can get light, airy, levitational. Whee! And you might have fallen a few times. We're going to take that leg back, bring the left knee to the ground. And again, this is going to become my lizardy lunge. So I'm going to ease my hips forward with my hands here on the diagonal and see how it feels. Now, on this side, this feels like enough. On the other side, it felt really good to go low. But on this side, I've got enough sensation in my hips that I don't need to take my elbows to the ground. I could probably do blocks. Ooh. Yep, that feels good. But all the way down felt a little too spicy. So breathing, you salt your pose to taste, however much spice you like. Take a big breath. All right, so this is where we're gonna straighten out the front leg, but we're gonna kind of hold this diagonal so we can kind of get a little more into this inner thigh. You might have to do little changes to your spacing. Oh, that's nice. That's so nice, yogis. Oh. Whew. Take another breath. Maybe it's not so nice in your world. Be kind. Back yourself off a bit, and then we're gonna take that leg back where it came from. And again, you can come to child's pose. You can come to down dog. You can come to a plank. You can come to the modified plank. And we're gonna lower all the way down. Now, we're gonna come back to our friend the Sphinx. Oh. And we're gonna do just a little bit of work with the legs. So if the Sphinx doesn't work, you can come back to the crocodile, which this one is my favorite really. And then you can try it up a little higher, but I think it's harder to get the leg up, okay? So from the Sphinx, we're gonna see, can I pick my left leg up and bring it back down, right leg up and bring it back down. Now, if I go down for the crocodile, it's a little easier for me to pick my leg up and bring it back down because I'm not already exhausting my hip flexor, okay? So I've got a little less hip flexor bend, lift it up, put it back down. Now don't do this. Don't lift your whole hip up off the ground. Try to keep your hip on the floor, but just lift your leg, okay? Left leg and down, right leg and down. Good. Left leg and down, right leg and down. Last one. Left leg and down. Reach through the right leg, lift it, and down. Good. And then we'll come down, and we're gonna roll onto our side. Oh. Now, we're gonna stack the hips on top of the hips. We're gonna stack the shoulders on top of the shoulders. And we're gonna do a little movement pattern with the legs. Now, I'm a little bit close to my plant, so I'm gonna scooch forward and hopefully I'll still be in frame for you to see. All right, I'm resting my head on my arm. If that doesn't work, you can put your arm forward and put either a block or a pillow or a blanket under your head like that, okay? And that'll give you a little bit less, like some shoulders are just tricky when it comes to putting the head up like that, or the arm up like that. So we're gonna take this top leg and lift it up. We're gonna try to hug in through the sides of our waist, and we're gonna take this leg and rotate it so that the toes and the knee point slightly at the top diagonal. If we bring our feet together, our heels would touch and the toes would be apart, okay? And then we're gonna circle the leg in circles, but try not to rock. So hug in the sides of your waist. Now try to tune in to what parts of your hip feel this the most. We're gonna do 5 more, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now pause for a second, okay? And feel where that hit you. For me, there's like a little bit up here, a little bit down here. Now we're gonna switch it. So we're gonna take the leg and rotate it the other way so that the knee points more at the diagonal towards the floor toe also. And then we're gonna try to circle the opposite direction this way. And again, hold in tight through the belly. Try to keep that internal rotation at your thigh. And then just notice as we circle, does it feel different? Okay, try to hold that internal rotation on your thigh. 5 more, 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, 1 more, and then come down. And where do you feel that? So for me, a lot more on my outer thigh, a lot more right here, a little lower on my glute. But you might be different. So notice where you felt that. And then we're gonna take this top leg, bring it up, grab hold of the inner part of the leg, reach out this bottom leg, try to hover it, and then it's possible you can grab hold of this big toe. Then cool, grab that. And try not to fall backward. We're gonna try to hug in through our core and hold steady in this sleeping Buddha core piece. It's like the boat pose on its side. Hold steady, yogis. You can hold on to the back of your leg. You don't have to hold your toe. Take 1 more breath. And let go with your exhale. And then we're gonna come on out of there. Whew. Now, we're rolling back onto the belly because we gotta do the other side. So, we're gonna come around, roll onto the other side. All right. So get your hips lined up, get your shoulders lined up, rotate this top leg. So again, the knee and the toes diagonally go out, okay, up toward the ceiling. And then we're gonna choose a direction and take that into a spin. Hug in tight through the sides of your waist and see where this hip, does it any different than the other hip? Hold steady now. Hold it, we got 5 more, 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, last one, and then coming down. Now we're gonna rotate the leg the other way. So the knee, the leg, and the toes all try to point a little bit down towards the floor at a diagonal. And then circle your leg the other direction and hold steady through your core. And feel the difference. Where does it hit you when the leg is rotated inward? Try to hold that internal rotation as best you can for 5 more, 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, last one, good. And then we're gonna come back together. Oh, I love the way that feels. That is my favorite. All right, so we're gonna bring the leg in and hang on like that, or grab that big toe, and then you're gonna try to lift through that leg, take the bottom leg off, and hold yourself steady without falling onto your back. Okay, so we're holding the sleeping Buddha boat. Hold it, don't let it fall apart. Sometimes it does it of its own accord. Take 2 more breaths. Last breath. All right, coming down. All right, yogis. So we are gonna come into a pigeon pose. So you which is what I'm gonna do. Or you can do your pigeon from your belly. Now you can go back to down dog and do this, or you can just bring one leg forward like this and a little off to the side, and then take the other leg all the way back, okay? You just slide, 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 slide until you're as close to the earth as you can get. Now you can put pillows and blankets and stuff underneath your hips to make it okay for your knee, but this can be a tricky pose. So if you want to follow me, we're gonna do it upside down. Okay. I'm gonna get a little drink of water first. Okay, now I'm gonna take a block with me and position that so that I can put my right foot on it. Okay, so I'm gonna do my left side first. Whichever side you did first, if you're doing another version of the pigeon, you can do whatever side first. It's gonna be fine, we're gonna do both sides. And then I'm rocking myself in here a little closer, okay, until I feel this stretch in my hip just where I want it. Now, that's option one, which is to just rest. Option two, bring the legs in and hold on to them. So that's gonna be a little spicier. So I'm gonna go with this guy. If this is too spicy still, put your foot on the ground, okay? And then we're gonna pause for a moment and just notice this kind of outer hip area again. So we've been kind of working this outer hip in a couple different ways with the balance, with the movement. Now, in the outer hip, in Chinese medicine, lies the gallbladder meridian. And the gallbladder meridian feeds the gallbladder in all kinds of different ways. So in Chinese medicine, things aren't just the physical body. There's emotional and there's thoughts that coincide. And for the gallbladder, when the gallbladder channel is balanced, we're able to feel grounded and content, right? And stable. But when the gallbladder is out of balance, we feel irritated and like nothing is quite right, you know, like just grouchy. I call it the pet peeve channel, where like just everything is irritating, but not, you know, not on a big scale, but like mild irritations. So we're looking at this kind of outer hip area as a way to sort of balance, create a sense of groundedness and a sense of contentment. We're going to take 3 more breaths with this shape, by the way. Now, if you're in the regular pigeon, where your belly is down toward the floor, you're going to lean into the bent leg hip that you've got, and you're going to bring your back leg around. And we're the ones that are laying on the back like me, we're going to unwind our leg, and then we're going to come to a seated position, okay? So, we're all winding up in the same place. Now, we're going to take the left leg and bring it up on top of the right leg. And you can do this as simple as sitting cross-legged with your left leg in front. Or you can put the left knee up. Now, I put it here because if I put it over here, then this butt cheek is off the floor far enough that at least one ferret, probably 2, can fit under that butt cheek. I don't need any room. You want your hips on the ground. If your pelvis is tilted, your spine doesn't twist correctly, okay? So this is one of those things where you just have to kind of be honest with yourself. So sit up nice and tall, and we're gonna rotate the body towards the left side. So left leg's on top, I'm twisting towards my left. And then kind of center yourself again into the sit bones. Grow a little taller. You can hold onto this leg and then just resist that a little bit. So I'm holding the leg with all I've got with my arm, and I'm trying to pull it to the floor with my leg muscles. So again, we're using this outer hip, this time in a more muscular way, right? We're using the muscle as opposed to just lingering in the stretch. Okay, you can look over your back shoulder or over your front shoulder, whichever you like better. And we're going to take 2 more breaths. Now, unwind your twist. And we're going to hang out for a second, but you're going to take that left leg out straight, and this right leg is going to stay bent. And you can, if you like, pull this foot way up against the groins like we did with the tree pose, or you can leave it a little looser. I had my foot down here in my tree pose, so I'm going to leave it down there now too. Oh. And so what I just did is I just tilted the sit bone a little bit back behind me so that when I'm folding forward, I feel like I'm right on the tippy tips. All right, and then we're gonna fold towards this leg, and maybe you grab it with your hand. Maybe you use a towel. Maybe you don't grab it at all. Try to turn this leg on. So rather than let the leg kind of sag out to the side, we're gonna rotate it a little bit internally, right? We've already practiced that internal rotation. And we're gonna point the toes straight up at the ceiling. And you can even bend this knee a little bit. So we're holding steady right here. Oh, and breathe in. Two more. And then we're going to come up and you're going to let this whole thing go. Give everything a little bit of a shimmy. Guess what, yogis? It's time to do the other side, starting with your pigeon. So either you're going to follow me into the pigeon on the back, or you're going to put whatever leg you didn't do last time up front and do the other side. So this time my left foot is going to rest on the block. So I'm going to organize myself so that my left foot is resting up here. Oh. And then I'm going to pop my right leg up on top. And again, I can bring the legs in. I can take the block out. Right? There's ways to kind of adjust this and modify it for your practice. And you're the one who lives inside your body, so you have to make these decisions. Now, if you're not sure how to make these decisions at the end of class, you can ask me, or you can leave me a comment or send me an email or whatever it is. And I will try to work it out with you so that you can practice, right? So if you've got questions about your practice, I'm happy to try to help you. Oh. We'll do our best as we kind of start to navigate the yoga through these digital virtual means where we're in our own homes. Until we can get back together in person in a way that keeps all of us healthy and strong. So we're going to stay a little while longer, about 30 more seconds. And again, like, just notice how your pose is right now. Every time you bring yourself back to awareness and just check in with what's happening in the present moment, that's that moment of spanda. That's that aha moment, right? Ah, I get it. That moment where we just feel. So we're going to take a couple more deep breaths. Now again, if you're on your belly, you're going to bring that back leg around, and if you're here with me on our back, we're just going to unwind the legs, and then we're going to bring ourselves back up to the seated position. This time with the right leg in front or on top. Okay, get your sit bones nice and level. Sit up really tall, twist towards the right, and then we're going to hang on and hold on at least like on a nice big bone, right? On your thigh bone or on your lower leg bone, or right both bones in your hand. But be mindful of your knee joint so you don't do anything that feels funky in your knee. And then we're going to press the leg into the hand. Press the sit bones into the floor. Get a little more regal. And breathe. And I'm going to turn my head forward, but I'm going to leave my torso turned into the right. Because I like the way that feels, yogis. Two more breaths. And then we're going to unwind. And again, I'm going to straighten out that leg. Now the right leg is the straight leg. I'm going to bring my left foot where I had it in the tree pose. Wherever that was for you, you can put it there. Again, I just pulled that sit bone out from under me a little bit. And we're going to rotate. So I'm rotating that thigh. Toes are going to point up, and I'm going to fold over. And I've got a little bend in my knee just to give everything a little bit more freedom here. ate a giant salad for lunch, and I'm very burpy tonight. I recognize that that's TMI, but in any case, this forward bending makes it way worse. We're going to take 2 more breaths. And then we're going to unwind this whole thing. Come on up, give everything a shake. Oh. Whew. Alrighty, yogis. We're going to do one more little set of crescents. So we're going to take the legs out in a V. And for some of this makes the pelvis go a little bit backwards. So if that's you, elevate your pelvis up on a blanket or a pillow or something. Or you can bend your knees and see if that helps. Now, I like a blanket underneath my knee joints as opposed to under my pelvis because it makes my knees happier. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to take this into a side bend. So I'm going to do one leg and then over the top, okay? Then I'm going to come up in the center, reach. I'm going to go over the opposite leg, over the top. And we're going to go back and forth nice and slow like this. Just lift, take it over one side. And eventually we're going to pause and melt into one side. But for now, I'm just moving back and forth. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Nice big breath. And then over this way. And one more time. Big breath. Now we're going to go over this first side and we're going to stay put. Now if you want to bend the opposite leg, you can. But I sort of like to reach out through the feet. And again, kind of turn the toes up toward the ceiling. And some people can bend over quite a lot. I'm going to take 2 more big breaths. And we'll come up. Oh, give that a little rinse. Oh. And then we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to turn, side bend this direction, and then go into it. So I'm turning my toes up. I'm adding this little, just like feeling out how much into there. It feels good to go. Reach through the legs, ground through the sit bone over on this side. So you've got, it's like I'm trying to stretch in 2 directions. I'm going down through the sit bone and out through this arm. And breathe. Last big breath. And then we're going to come all the way up. Oh, that's nice, yogis. So I have fantastic news. It's time for Shavasana. And so, with Shavasana, we are going to get comfy on our back. So, you're going to take your, if you've got a blanket, you can put the blanket under your legs, like we did at the beginning. You can put it over top of yourself. You can use it as a pillow. So you're just going to give yourself a chance to get nicely relaxed. Like so. And then, See, so what I did, essentially what I just did is I figured out where my thighs went at the beginning, and then I'm kind of leaving them that wide, but straightening out the legs. So I have sort of a similar ending, kind of coming full circle back around to the first pose. And then I'm going to take the end of my mat here, and I'm just going to roll a tiny little cushion for the back of my skull. That feels really nice to me. And then I'm going to test out, do I like my cactus arms again? Or do I want a different arm? I think the cactus arms are feeling good, so I'm going with it. So do the same thing, yogis. Feel your way into your final relaxation. Take nice deep breaths. yourself sink in. Just relax completely. And again, you might project yourself once again, like into a kind of your favorite place in nature. Whether that's a beach or a park or a woodland or a mountainside, the edge of a cliff, wherever it is. Imagine yourself just connecting and in contact with the earth. This is your own unique little spot on the earth. No one else is occupying this spot. It's your unique place to connect. Just let yourself relax into that sweet embrace with the planet. Yogis, before you start moving, just reconnect with that rhythm of your breath. And the spanda, the pulsation of your breath in your life. You can feel your heart beat. Even put a hand or two over your heart and say thank you. And then we're going to give ourselves a big stretch, big breath. Oh, bring yourself together, kind of curl it up. Oh, give yourself a little back massage. A little massage right on the back of your sacrum. We're going to roll to the side, or you can rock yourself up again if you want to go that route. And then when you're ready, come on up, yogis. Oh. thank you so much for joining me for a little lunar, earthy, funky, flowy vinyasa class. I really appreciate you guys coming and being willing to be a little creative with me on Thursday nights. Nice big breath. Big deep sigh. Namaste, beautiful souls.